Okay, so imagine this. Two towns, right? Practically neighbors, both on Ojibwe reservations here in Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
One is, well, thriving,
Yeah.
Red Lake, controlling its own destiny.
Right.
The other, Leech Lake, struggling, even though it's smack dab in the middle of a tourist hotspot.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
Two communities, so close, such different paths.
It's a really good question and a pretty fascinating story. It kind of shows how, things that happened way back when
Yeah,
can still have huge consequences today.
totally. And we've got a lot to dig into today. Historical accounts, interviews from an NPR episode, expert
It
opinions.
could be quite a journey.
It really is a journey that takes us right into some big questions: land ownership, historical injustices, and, the resilience of indigenous communities.
Huh.
So, to kick things off, the Ojibwe people, they weren't always in Minnesota, right?
No, their story starts with a migration, actually, from the East Coast all the way to the Great Lakes. And we're not talking like a quick trip here. This was over centuries. What's interesting is that they weren't really into centralized leadership,
Okay.
They were more about independent communities, spread out over a huge area.
Huh. That makes their story even more, I don't know, remarkable.
Yeah.
But then you have someone like Hole in the Day. What's the deal with him?
Oh, he was ambitious and forward-thinking. He saw what was happening with the U.S. expanding west and knew it was a threat. He thought the Ojibwe needed to be united.
So he was trying to unite them.
Yeah.
That must have been, incredibly difficult,
Yeah.
given their history.
Oh, absolutely. He pushed back against the way things were, but he got the U.S. government's attention, and he was smart. He managed to get infrastructure development included in treaty negotiations.
Oh, wow.
So he wasn't just reacting, he was shaping the future.
Trying to make sure his people would thrive.
Exactly. He was playing the long game. But tragically, his game was cut short. He was assassinated,
Oh,
1868.
that's awful.
Yeah.
I imagine that was a huge blow to the Ojibwe.
Yeah. It created a power vacuum at the worst possible time, and they became more vulnerable to exploitation. Just when pressure to assimilate and give up their land was getting worse.
And is this where we start to see Red Lake and Leech Lake going in different directions?
Yeah, you could say that. It mostly comes down to how they each responded to the Allotment Act of 1887.
The Allotment Act. I know it sounded good on paper, at least.
Yeah.
Dividing reservation land and giving pieces to individual tribal members.
Right, like a path to individual wealth and prosperity.
Yeah.
But the reality was way more complicated and a lot more damaging. The whole system was corrupt and manipulative. Instead of empowering the Ojibwe, it let non-natives gain control of their land.
And that's where Leech Lake comes in.
Sadly, yes.
Yeah.
Leech Lake has a big tourism industry, but a lot of Leech Lake band members actually live below the poverty line. They've basically been pushed off their own heritage.
It's heartbreaking to have all that abundance around you but not be able to benefit from it. So what about Red Lake? They resisted the Allotment Act, didn't they?
They did. And that's largely thanks to a leader named Maid-Wayganen. He was really respected, known for protecting Red Lake's land and resources.
He sounds incredible. How did he lead the resistance?
Well, he knew that giving up land was a bad idea. When the U.S. Chippewa Commission came to negotiate in 1889, he just flat out refused to give up any part of Red Lake. Think about that for a second.
Wow. That took some serious guts.
Yep.
So what happened? Did they strike a deal?
Yeah, in the end, Red Lake gave up some land but kept the most important parts, the upper and lower Red Lakes and the forests around them. A huge victory considering the pressure they were under.
But I heard there's a twist. Something about a map.
Right. After the agreement, they found out that a chunk of Red Lake had been, cut off the reservation map. It's still not clear if it was intentional or a mistake, but it was a betrayal that made them even more determined to get back what was rightfully theirs.
So even though they won, it still felt unfair.
Exactly. And that leads us to today, where the consequences of these decisions are still playing out for Red Lake and Leech Lake.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
You can see how different things could have been.
Yeah, it really makes you think. Can anything be done about this, though? These historical injustices. Are the Ojibwe people just stuck with the consequences?
Well, there are people working on that,
Right.
looking at new legal frameworks that could help protect their sovereignty and their ancestral lands. It's not about changing the past.
Right.
It's about finding ways to make the future more just.
That sounds promising. What kind of legal frameworks are we talking about here?
Well, one that's gaining some traction is called rights of nature. It's kind of a radical idea.
Okay, now I'm really interested. Tell me more about this.
So basically it says that natural systems, rivers and forests and ecosystems, They should have the same rights and protections as people.
Wow, that's a big change in thinking. How would that even work? Well, some tribal attorneys, like Frank Bebeau, are looking at old treaties as a legal basis. For example, if a treaty said the Ojibwe could hunt and fish and gather, it could also be used to protect the environment that supports those activities.
That's really interesting. So they're using the legal tools of I guess, the colonizers to fight back against the very system that was used to hurt them.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a clever strategy. They're demanding that the legal system recognize that nature has inherent rights.
That's incredible. I mean, is it working? Are there any signs that this could actually lead to real change?
I think it's too early to say for sure,
Yeah.
but it's definitely starting conversations. And it's making people rethink our relationship with the natural world, challenging the way things are.
That's good to hear. So you mentioned earlier that Red Lake is experiencing a kind of cultural revitalization.
Oh, yeah.
What else is happening there?
Well, there's this school, the Indag Nishinaabe Ajindaswin
Oh,
School.
yeah, I've heard of that. What's so special about it?
It's an Ojibwe language immersion school. And it's doing really well. They have so much community support, amazing teachers.
Mm.
There's even a waiting list to get in. I think it really shows how committed they are to preserving their language and culture.
That's amazing. It's
Mm.
like they're taking back control, not just of their land, but of their language, their future, their identity.
Yeah, you got it. And it shows what can happen when a community has control over its own land and resources. They can invest in themselves, reclaim their heritage, and create a future where their culture can thrive.
And that's so different from what's happening at Leech Lake.
Yeah, definitely.
They're still dealing with decisions made over 100 years ago.
It really shows that these historical injustices aren't just in the past. They're affecting people's lives right now.
This whole story is really eye-opening. From the Ojibwe migration to leaders like Hole in the Day to the Allotment Act, it's been a long journey.
It has. But the journey isn't over.
Before we move on, any final thoughts you want to leave us with? Something to think about.
Well, I think the biggest takeaway here is the power of self-determination, especially the story of Red Lake. It shows what's possible when a community has control over its own destiny. They're resilient and committed to their land, their culture, their future.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that history isn't, just something in a textbook. It's still affecting people's lives today, like shaping who they are, what they can do, the challenges they face.
Absolutely. It's easy to think, well, that was all a long time ago. What can I do about it now? But it's not just about the past. These issues are still happening.
So how can we, move from just knowing about it to actually doing something? What can we do with this information?
I think it starts with learning more. This deep dive, the stuff we've been talking about, it's just the beginning, really. Dig deeper into the history of the Ojibwe people and the impact of that Allotment Act, not just in Minnesota, but everywhere.
Yeah, and look around your own community. Are there Indigenous people near you? What are their stories? What challenges are they facing? How can we help them reclaim their heritage and, have more control over their lives?
Exactly. Learning is important. But we have to do something with what we learn, support organizations that are led by Indigenous people, advocate for policies that protect them and their land, make sure their voices are heard. Those are all things we can do to make a real difference.
It's about changing our perspective, right? Not seeing Indigenous communities as something from the past, but as vibrant cultures that are still here, still fighting, still shaping the future.
For sure. And their fight is our fight, too. When we fight for justice and equity, it benefits everyone.
It makes you wonder, what if that rights of nature idea really catches on? How would that change our relationship with the environment? Not just for Indigenous communities, but for all of us.
That's a good question. If we start seeing nature as something with rights, not just something we can use however we want, it could totally change how we do everything, from how we build things to how we protect the planet.
That's a pretty powerful idea. It makes us rethink our place in the world and our responsibility to take care of it. This deep dive has really made me think, not just about history, but about ideas and perspectives I hadn't considered before.
That's what's so cool about these deep dives. They make you curious, make you think critically, and hopefully inspire you to keep learning.
Yeah, and remember that learning never ends. There's always something new to discover. So, to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep being curious. Keep exploring. Keep asking questions. Who knows what amazing things you'll find?